Upon a stormy night, a giant mansion that lay on the grounds of an endless forest of trees. The old man watches from the comfort of this mansion that he sits on a cozy chair near a brightly lit fireplace, feeling the warmth of the flames glow, enjoying a nice cup of tea, when suddenly a knock is heard at his front door. Having his butler answer the door, greeting the guest, who wore a long black trench coat that covered his entire body, wearing even black gloves that conceal his hands to top it all off, a hat that covered his face, for which no one could barely see behind it, and speaks that he wishes to discuss the old man's life. He's a journalist who wanted to keep the old man's achievements to continue on being known throughout the town they lived in. Having the old man accept the man's curiosity to have his life's achievements be heard so kindly, the butler had asked if he wished for him to hang his coat, and having the journalist say no need, as he wishes to keep it on. With that response, the butler helped the journalist by placing another chair that was close by and set it next to the table from the opposite end to where his master sits. Having the old man tells his butler to leave for the day, and greets the guests in a very relaxed manner, and says of what would the journalist wish to know of his life. Having the journalist say he wishes to know how the old man was able to accumulate all the success and riches he had acquired through his years. The old man joyfully saying, gladly, having recalled his far past and his beginnings. Since he was a young boy, he was pleased to be born in a rich household his entire life, and served hand and foot to many delicious food, enjoying the endless work from his father, even being able to acquire the title of Governor of Trade. He had lived his entire life, even surpassing his father, to be able to trade to far more undiscovered lands, to give and receive from these distant lands. Having the old man gloat of times of how he donated to orphanages, hospitals, and the poor in his pastime. But the journalist saying of how these achievements are very productive and kind gestures of goodwill. Having the old man agree, setting his cup of tea down, and says that he remembers of two friends of his, who were a couple, that had helped him in the process of his success as his business partners, when one day a terrible accident had occurred when they took a carriage ride and had crashed into a ravine. With the husband dying in the carriage, and the wife, who had survived, but sadly the doctors had tried everything they could to keep her alive, but it seems it wasn't enough, as a couple of days later she had passed away. Having the old man stay silent for a bit, having the journalist say that was a tragic end to two kind people, with the old man saying, may their souls rest in peace. The old man grabbing a hold of his cup, shaking, taking a sip from the cup, remembering such events, trembling to the incident, with the journalist asking, is there anything else he recalls? Having the old man shake his head, staying quiet, looking at the fire. The journalist goes slamming his hands on the table, with the old man spooked to look at the journalist, say, what is the matter? When suddenly the journalist's voice, that seemed so calm, had turned and sounded much more deeper and more terrifying as he speaks. Do not lie to me, old man. You have not told me the truth of how you gained your riches and the success you bathed in. You stole all this from your so-called friends. Having the old man shake in fear, dropping his cup onto the ground, spilling whatever was left onto the carpet, saying in a voice of terror, who are you, and how would you know of this? And the journalist, with no words, removed one of his gloves, to reveal wild, withered bones, raising his head only, revealing a bright red light to where the eyes would be. It says, you need not worry about me. Who I am, as you already have far worse problems at hand. The old man, in total fear, gets up, then grabs a rifle that had been hanged and displayed up top his fireplace, and loads the gun, aiming at the creature, having the being say, it is pointless to use that thing, as it won't hurt me. And without thinking or listening to the creature's words, he closed his eyes and had his finger placed on the trigger, firing a couple of rounds into the figure with loud bangs to be heard, as the old man, in a cold sweat, opened his eyes to a trench coat laying on the chair where the creature was, with the coat filled with empty bullet holes. How the old man scared to death as he looks around the room, yelling out to have the creature show itself, when suddenly the old man hears whispers all around him and begins shooting the gun to where he hears the whispers, with the creature phasing in and out to each moment when the old man fired his gun, until a single empty clicking noise from the weapon is heard, as the old man felt bony hands grab him from behind upon his shoulders, as the creature speaks. Nice try. It's time I retell the story of how you truly received the gifts you were given. Then, with a single tap from the creature's hands, they were transported to a vision in time of the old man's younger years, in a poor area in town, with a house full of rage and deep sadness, as he was berated and scolded by his drunken father about his failures, and it is his fault that his mother left him, as the young boy knew it not to be so, and continued his grown years in the cool life he had lived, when one day he found a job working for a kind couple who treated him fairly and as a human being, befriended them soon after. He told his father of this achievement, with his father not caring in the slightest, and had continued acting the way he has, drinking and beating the young man, who was able to finally be able to be happy. Then, with a silent grin of malice, the young man snapped, fighting back and killed his father in his sleep, with a bloody knife in hand, running away, hiding the evidence and cleaning himself up to meet with his friends and begged them for help. With his dear friends accepting him with the comfort of their home, eventually, and upon a week after the crime, one day the young man, who now became an adult, had an idea, truly sickened, an evil idea, planned to murder the two to take all the riches that they had as his own, making deals with outside sources to erase everyone who knew them and wipe the slate clean of any documents that lead to this couple and have it written and to his name alone, as he was willing to enact the crime himself, as he heard one day that the couple were going to travel to the theater, that the road it travels by is near a deep ocean ravine. So with a horse and a pistol, he rides through the night. The couple had relaxed in the carriage that was taking them to the theater, and suddenly the man of malice had his face be seen by the wife, in shock. So the man they believed was their friend went and shot the driver of their carriage, having the carriage swerve and fall into the ravine, giving the silent, menacing grin on his face again. Feeling pleased to the work he had done, when on the next day he had heard the wife was alive, but unconscious, and without a second thought, he had went to the hospital that she stayed in and waited day after day for the right opportune time by the woman's side, until she eventually awoke to a grin of malice staring at her, as the demented man grabbed the pillow beneath her head and suffocated her in a weak state, and placed the pillow back under her head soon, having the grin be disguised by a fake sad frown, putting on an act of sorrow, pain, calling out to any doctor to save her, keeping in his mind that the final deed has been done. So after a long time, after the woman's funeral, he was told that he was the sole benefactor, that this couple had left everything in his name, having them be pleased but act in a way to fool everyone of sadness that he did not truly feel in the slightest for the two people who cared about him, as they had just been puppets to his own wanting greed and power, having the evil man live his days in luxury and savoring a crime he believed he wouldn't ever get caught for in his entire life, until this moment now. With a slow turn from the old man in tears and regret, sees the creature's true face, which was death himself, cloaked in a black foggy mist, with his glowing crimson eyes gazing upon the pathetic old man, getting the old man to beg for his life, apologizing profusely for the crimes he had committed, with Death replying, "No, it's too late for you. It's time for you to pay the price." With one committed, with Death replying, with one wave of Death's hand, a scythe appears, and with both hands raise the weapon, having the old man close his eyes, accepting his fate.